Hi everybody, I'm Akasha. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. Today we are going to be discussing something a bit different. We are going to be talking about bloodlines, as you saw in the title. The time has come for me to be more transparent with who I am, my bloodline, which is highly out of my comfort zone. In fact, I don't talk about this to anyone, let alone the world. But anyways, for some reason Spirit has been on me for the past almost a week about speaking out about it. My bloodline, let's start there. My bloodline is part of the Tsalagi Native Americans. You may not be familiar with who we are by that name, but you may know us as the Cherokee Native Americans. Tsalagi were the original tribe that name Cherokee was supposed to represent. Tsalagi, or what you all know as the Cherokee, was one of the main reasons why the colonizers were so interested in North America, because when they found us, they went back to Queen Isabella and told her that they found the lost tribe of the Israelites because we were Hebrew. We spoke Hebrew language because we're actually not from America, even though we were here before the colonizers were. But before that, we were in the Mesopotamia area. We're from the Mesopotamia area. Okay. Anyways, getting back to me. That is my bloodline, the Tsalagi Native Americans. My particular bloodline within the Tsalagi Native Americans was hunted down by our government. My great-great-great-grandmother had to change her name to protect our lineage. So yeah, they think we were dead. They thought we were dead. But hello, we're still here. So yeah, there's reasons. There's been reasons as to why we do not speak about who we are, because it was not safe to do so. That's why when they say, oh, you need to validate your nationality, no, we could not validate our nationality because we had a risk of being murdered by doing that. That in itself was a very interesting story, because when the colonizers first came here, they came as our friends. We had these Jewish traders that came in. Some of them even married into our tribes because they knew that we were Hebrew. And so that would be one way to solidify and validate their claim to the Hebrew nation. And plus, we're matriarchal, meaning everything goes through the woman. The bloodline went through the woman. That is my particular bloodline, but it doesn't even end there. We talk about past lives, and I know people might have their own ideas as what that means. I'm going specifically by my own experience. My past lives are actually within this lineage. And so one of my most traumatic lives is Spirit is wanting me to share with you, and I understand why. This takes place over 8,000 years ago in the Mesopotamia area. This is where the original Hebrews were. Before we were invaded, because this is around the time that we were invaded, around 8,000 years ago. Yeah, it's been a while. But before we was invaded, just to give you a little background on how the planet was, this planet was pretty much, first off, everybody on the planet was brown, some shade of brown. We did not have white people. I know, baby. We're going to get to y'all. You all's story is very interesting too. But we're going to get to you all. And when I talk about the Caucasians that I'm going to speak about, I'm not referring to the Nordic white people. Two completely different breeds. The Nordics actually have pieces of our DNA in them. The other ones, the ones that came from the Caucasus Mountains, do not. They're a completely different species. They're not from this planet, literally. Okay, so getting back to it, before we were invaded by the beings that came from the Caucasus Mountains, our planet, it was nothing but brown-skinned people all over our planet. There were queen mothers that was stationed all over the planet. And pretty much, I would say it was matriarchal in nature. And a lot of people think that matriarchy is basically the opposite of patriarchy, where it's just like patriarchy except it's a woman ruling. No, that's not how matriarchy works. Patriarchy has a tendency to dominate. Matriarchy does not dominate. It actually regulates. It's more of a regulation. It more regulates instead of dominates. Think of it like a brain and the nervous system. You have your brain, which is the central hub, and you have all your different nerve endings. You have different groups where the nerve endings collect. But then you have your central station, which is your brain, or at least some people think it's your brain. I'm just using this as an analogy. So yeah, so that's how it was, okay? And it was all over the planet. There was no concept of a male deity at all. The closest thing you had to God on this planet was the mother. And each tribe had their highest mother, their queen mother. And she took care of everyone as if they were her children. My tribe, who we were from, I told you we were in the Mesopotamia area. We were the first ones. Oh, yeah, let me get back to that. We were from the Mesopotamia area, and my mother was the great mother on the planet, meaning that she was like the brain of that nervous system that I told you about. She was the great mother. I was what you might consider a princess, but we didn't call it a princess. It was something like that. It wasn't called a princess, but that's what we were related to. And so I was in line to be in her position. I was basically in training. I'll get into how I feel, because there's so much more to this than just, I'm pretty much just giving you the outline to it to get to the point. So we had our nation, or our particular tribe, was over something that was extremely important. I'm still gathering information on what it was, but it had to do with the non-physical, our spirituality, like in magic, stuff like that. It had to do with that kind of stuff. Oh, and that was another thing about this time. Everything that you hear about when it comes to the fairy tale creatures like dragons, fairies, giants, all that stuff is real. All of it is real. They exist, and some of them, and they still exist, just on different dimensions. A lot of them have to go into hiding because of these beings. And a lot of them know the truth on our history, know the truth about this planet. And we're going to start seeing them a lot more, because everybody's pissed off. Everybody's we're all fed up with it. And so now you're going to start seeing everybody reveal themselves, show themselves to you all. And I'm doing my part. I'm showing myself to you. So, getting back to this, and I think this is one of the reasons why Spirit wanted me to share this, is to explain to you all what happened, why we fell. Before we were invaded by these beings, we had no concept whatsoever of war. This is why they don't teach us about anything past like 8,000, because before that time, it was peaceful. There was no war tools, no war weapons, none of that, because we didn't have any war. It was literally peaceful. Our technology was banging, way more advanced than what we have today. On the evolutionary stage, we done went backwards. We're far behind where we used to be. But there are things that we have learned from this experience from going backwards. We had no concept of war at all. We didn't have any concept of deceptiveness. We were very open and honest, because the way that we communicated was telepathic. And so when we communicate that way, we didn't have words to confuse things. It was straight communication. And that's how it is with a lot of the other creatures also that I was telling you. A lot of the fairy tale creatures and stuff is telepathic communication. So all the BS, the bullshit that we have to deal with today, we didn't have a lot of that, because everything was straight to the point. So, and everybody was very loving. I told you there was several different queen mothers. You all, that's why the whole idea of colorism is so painful, because during this time we adored each other. The different tribes, there was never any fighting. We adored each other. We loved to get together and mingle and just fawn basically over each other. There was no competition. There was never any of that. This survival of the fittest concept, that we did not have that. They make us think that we need that in order to survive, when it's not like that at all. It wasn't like that, and we were thriving without that kind of mentality. So getting back to these beings that invaded, there's a portal in the Caucasus Mountains that they came through, which this was not new to us, because we had been dealing with different beings that would come to us through different portals, different what you all might call aliens, which really is more like different multi-dimensional beings that we would communicate. In fact, a lot of them helped us with our advancement and stuff like that. So we were used to communing with these type of beings. However, we got infected when these particular beings came. This is a completely different breed of beings. They were tall, they were pale. They came off as being kind. Okay? Now these beings that came from the Caucasus Mountains, they are not to be confused with the Nordic white people. The Vikings, those people, these are two completely different breeds. As I said, the Nordic actually have some of our DNA in them. These beings have none of it. They're literally not from this planet. And this was widely known. This was not anything that was hidden. They came here, and just like we did with everybody else, all the other beings that ever came here, we shared information. We communicated. We showed them what we did. We showed them how we did stuff. Just like the other beings did with us when they came, because these beings were not as advanced as we were. These beings that came from the Caucasus Mountains, they were not as advanced as we were, but in most places. But there are some places that they were. When it came to how our minds worked, they were really good with that for some reason. But anyways, so they came in. We taught them everything. We befriended them. We welcomed them in with open arms, basically. While all this was happening, we were getting all kind of warnings, signs saying that, hey, there's a problem. In fact, that's one of the reasons why I had a hesitation to step up to the throne, because there was an omen. I don't remember what the omen is. It had something to do with a double albino birth, something like that. I'm still getting the information. But I had a hesitation to step up because there was doom around me stepping into that position. And so, yeah, there was a lot of gloom and doom around it because I wanted to, but it was like I didn't want to, because I felt like if I did, then it was going to cause the downfall of my people. So we welcomed these people in. You all, when I tell you all, they completely flipped on us overnight, literally. One day we was breaking bread with each other. The next day, actually it happened throughout the night. Everything happened. They planned everything very strategically, and I'm getting that they had help from people on our side to do this, but they waited until we were vulnerable, and it took place at night. Now I'm getting that it was more than just the nighttime. It was that we were vulnerable during the time. I don't know if maybe we did not have all access to our abilities, because we did have abilities back then that we was able to actively use. Maybe we didn't have all the access to our abilities, not sure. But they waited until we were vulnerable, and then they attacked. You all, we were not prepared for the level of brutality that they had. We were not prepared. All the warnings that we got could not encompass how horrible they were. There was no honor in it. There was no warning. They murdered all the wise women, all the wise men, in the most dishonorable way. My mother, the great mother, she was murdered. My offspring, because I did have children already, they were saved somehow. They were able to get away, but I didn't. Because we were still trying to fight, but we didn't have any of our tools, our abilities to fight, but we still tried anyway. It was a complete massacre. It was a complete massacre. I'm sharing this with you all because these same beings are on this planet. These same beings, now that they've traded their physical suits, how they truly looked, for a lot of them look like white people, the Nordics, but they're not. And now they're wearing suits and robes and everything. The crown, the British crown, they're all infested in that. The Jewish people, you already know, you all heard about the Jewish people. You got the Vatican, all these royal families. There's this thing called the black nobility. They're the ruling class. They have no rights to this planet. Okay, so I had to switch cameras because one of them kind of gave out on me. Okay, so I'm sharing this with you all because the powers to be, you all have literally no comprehension on how brutal these beings are. I'm trying to prevent the same thing from happening again by trying to do whatever I can, as much as I can, to help you to see that these people are ruthless. They don't have the same respect and honor for humanity or our planet. Look around what they're doing to the planet. They're drilling for oil. Okay? They're lying to you and telling you that it's fossil fuels. It ain't that much fossils in this dang on world. The oil is reproduced inside the planet. That planet, she's alive. She's alive. Anybody who's an empath, you can connect to her. She's freaking alive. What do you think that is that they're drilling for and using when we don't have to be using? What do you think that is? Have you ever thought of maybe that's like her blood? Maybe. They already know. They're literally sucking us dry, sucking our planet dry. Drilling for oil, it may not seem like anything that's serious to you, but it is very serious. It's as serious as somebody else sucking your blood. Which, speaking of that, these beings are doing things that you would not be able to fathom. They do things that you do not even fathom. All these things that you might think are conspiracies, that's part of the great revealing, is that not only are you going to see us, the different beings that's been here the whole time, we got to watch and see how humans have changed and allowed themselves to be changed and manipulated. But also, the great reveal is also about seeing what they're really doing. All this stuff about conspiracy theories, sweetheart, sugar plum, probably around 90% of the conspiracy theories are real. That's the horrible thing, is that a lot of them are real. All this stuff about the island with them grooming kids, you all, it's still happening. Why the hell do you think it's still happening? Why do you think it's still happening? It's still happening because these people in power, the crown, the Vatican, these Jews, all these people, the black nobility. The black nobility, I'll do a video on that's basically talking about the ruling classes of some of these these nations around the planet. Yes, they are all in on it. That's the reason why nothing will ever be done about it, you all. Not going along their way, don't think that the courts is gonna finally do an investigation to everybody. Do you want to know why? It's because they have their hands in it too. The whole judicial system, all that shit is them. So what do? We have to throw it all away. It's all garbage. It's all garbage, you all. And we have this concept, we've been embedded with this thought that we need them to rule. No, we don't. When I was around, when my predecessors was around back over 8,000 years ago, we did not rule like that. There was peace. There was harmony. Everybody got along. There was advancement in technology. There was advancement in spirituality. Spirit wanted me to share who I was. Ta-da! I was the princess that was supposed to take the position of Great Mother on this planet. And unfortunately, it did not happen. Put it this way, in their eyes, it did happen. But technically, it didn't happen because there was a sacred ceremony that I did not tell them about during the time when they did all these atrocious things to me. There was a sacred ceremony that was never done. So technically, I never did take the throne. The beings that are ruling, we are not going to get justice from them. It was never meant for us to get justice from them. All they want to do and all they're going to do is just give us enough to shut us up and then take 5 steps back in the background. And then you won't even find out or realize that you done took 5 whole steps backwards until like decades down the line. Like, damn. My bloodline knows about all that. Look at all the treaties. I think there was like, 175 different treaties that was made with the Native Americans that were broken. Why in the heck do you think we should start trusting them now? If anything, this is the time for us to say, F you all, F all this BS. Your judicial system is a joke. Your government system is a joke. All of it is a joke. And I know y'all got some of our people who are really big on the vote. And baby, it does not matter. It doesn't matter if the entire system is corrupt. There's not enough positive pieces in the organization to do anything positive. The whole damn thing has to go. Okay? Give it up and look at things a different way. We do not need them to rule us. We thrived before them. We will thrive after them. But they got to go if we are to survive. Akasha signing out.